Hello students, I am Sheetal Singh from Panchil Balak Inter College, Noida, and today we will read class 10th English poem 3 A Tiger in the Zoo by Leslie Norris. So now the time for firstly about the poet. George Leslie Norris was a prize-winning Welsh poet and short story writer. He is considered as most important Welsh writers of the post-war period, and his literary works have won many prizes. His famous works are Finding Gold, The Loud Winder, Phoenix Living, Poets Series, Ransom, etc. So, the title A Tiger in the Zoo. The poem written by Leslie Norris explains the agony and helplessness of a caged tiger that lives in a zoo. The poet explains what his life could be if he had been a free animal. The poet has tried to explain about the condition of animals that are caged by human beings for their own fun. So, the gist of this poem, A Tiger in the Zoo. The poem begins with the description of a tiger that is very beautiful and is walking in his little cage. He has beautiful stripes on his skin and has velvet like soft paws. But the tiger is not happy and is quite angry about being confined in the cage. The poet says that if the tiger was not confined to the zoo cage, he would have been hiding himself behind the long grass near some water body in order to catch its prey, that is, the deer. Also, he would have terrorized the residents of the village around the forest area, but the reality is totally opposite to this. He was confined in a cage which was made up of strong building material, and he was helpless there. He could not show his power to the visitors and therefore never try to terrorize them. The tiger is described as being powerless and agonized by the poet. He says that during night also he is alone, hearing the voice of the visitors police looking at the stars. The cage life has totally changed the tiger's personality. The poet is trying to say that the animal, which is famous for its fearlessness and freedom, and is confined and set due to the human beings who want to derive pleasure by looking at him in the zoo cage. So, now the time for explanation of this poem, A Tiger in the Zoo. This poem contrasts a tiger in the zoo with the tiger in its natural habitat. The poem moves from the zoo to the jungle and back again to the zoo. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet. in his quiet race. Stalks means, what is the meaning of stalks here? To walk in an angry mood. And vivid, vivid means very bright. Stripes. Stripes means long lines on the body. The few steps of his cage. Cage means a box made of bars. On pads of velvet white. Pads means like cushion of velvet, a silk, soft cloth. In his quiet race. Quiet means making very little noise, and rage means violent anger. Here the poet says that the tiger that is confined in the zoo moves around in the cage under his bright colored skin. He further says that the tiger can take only a few steps, only few steps because the cage is small, as you can see in the picture also, and it is not easy to move in it. One cannot hear his footsteps because he has very soft feet, like velvet, because of which there is no sound of the tiger's footsteps. The tiger tries to control his anger by quietly walking in the limited area of his cage. He is angry because he is not free. And here we find literary devices or figure of speech. The rhyme scheme of this poem: A, B, A, stripes, and the last word of second line, case, B, quite, third line, C, and the fourth line is similar to line 2, B, case, rhyming with raise. So the rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B. And here we find personification also. The tiger is personified because the poet refers him as he. And the metaphor, here we find metaphor also. Tiger's paws are compared with velvet. Velvet means very silk and soft cloth, compared with the pads of tiger. Enjambment, the sentence is continuing to next line without any punctuation mark. And here we find consonants also, use of S sound. S, stalk S, stripes S. So here we find assonance also, and oxymoron, use of adjectives opposite in meanings, like when we find two opposite words, quite and raise. Both are opposite words we find in same line, so we can say that here we find oxymoron. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. He should be lurking. What is the meaning of lurking here? Lurking means hiding in shadow. Shadow means darkness. Lurking means waiting secretly. And sliding, sliding means gliding through long grass near the water hole where plump means healthy, deer pass. The poet says that if this tiger was free, he would have hid himself behind the long grass near the water bodies so that he could easily catch a deer in order to have it as its food. Basically, the poet wants to say that the actual life of a tiger is to live in a jungle. As you can see in the picture also, where he could catch his prey and eat it, but the tiger in the case cannot do so. Here we find in this stanza poetic device enjambment. Line continues to next line without any punctuation mark. Alliteration, use of sound P, plump and pass. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs. His claws terrorize the village. Snarling. What is the meaning of snarling here? Sound of anger and bearing uncovered fangs, teeth. The poet says that if the tiger would have been free, he would have snarled around the houses located at the outskirts of the forest. He would terrorize people with his sharp tooth and claws. This would create fear among the people living in the village. And here we find literary devices, poetic devices, rhyme scheme A, B, C, B, A, B, C, B. And we find here onomatopoeia, figure of speech, using words which denote sounds. Snarling. Snarling, it's a sound. So in figure of speech, onomatopoeia, we found sound. We found assonance also, use of vowel sound O and I, like should O, around O, houses O, that is assonance. And consonants, use of consonant sound S, S, his S, fangs S, claws S. In the next stanza, but he has locked in a concrete cell his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Locked means put under lock, and concrete means built from concrete. Cell, prison. Cell means prison, and his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Ignoring means not paying attention to. Now, the poet comes to the reality of the tiger that is inside the cage. He says that the tiger is confined in a strong cell which is made of strong building material. He further says that as the tiger is behind bars, so his ferociousness is also behind the bars. He just stalks in the cage. He never tries to terrorize the visitors because his power is restricted by the cage. As you can see in the picture also. Therefore, he never tries to terrorize the visitors as he cannot attack them. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Patrolling means going round in the night. And stares, what is the meaning of stares here? Looking intently. The poet says that in the night, the tiger hears the sound of the patrolling cars. Patrolling cars are the vehicles of police which are used to guard at night. So, in the night, the tiger hears the sound of these cars. He then stares at the shining stars with his shining eyes. The poet wants to say that the tiger is sad. As you can see in the picture also, the poet wants to say that the tiger is sad as he is confined in the cage. So he cannot do anything. Therefore, he stares at the stars in the night and tries to divert his thoughts towards them. And here we find literary device and ABCB enjambment. Lines 3 continues to line 4 without any punctuation mark. Alliteration, use of sound H. He hears. H, H, that is alliteration. And assonance also, use of I sound. With his, in with word I, his eye, brilliant I, that is vowel sound, that is vowel also I, and so we can say that here we find assonance, poetic device. So that was the explanation of this poem, A Tiger in the Zoo, that is presented by Leslie Norris. So students, you have to revise this poem thoroughly and pay attention for the explanation. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay indoors, and eat healthy. Thank you.